Hey guys, so first of all, let me apologize for the way that everything looks. And secondly, I apologize for the weird lighting. I'm in the kitchen and I have my tripod attached to the cabinet and the lighting in here is a little weird, as you guys already know. So somebody has asked me why I like working short-term rehab, and so I thought that I would make a video talking about why I enjoy rehab so much. Now, I have worked long-term rehab and short-term rehab. It's not that I necessarily prefer one over the other, but there is a specific reason why I like short-term rehab a lot more than necessarily like long-term care. So one of those reasons is that I absolutely love seeing people come into the facility who aren't able to really do things for themselves. They need a lot of assistance. And then as they're going through and getting like the rehab and the physical therapy, the speech therapy, the occupational therapy, you see them start to need you less and less. And a lot of people would be like, well, isn't that a bad thing if they need you less and less? You know, you're there to take care of them and you're there to help them with things. But in my opinion, it's actually a good thing when somebody needs you less and less, because that means that they're getting better. Their condition is improving, they're getting stronger, you know, they're building their strength back and they're gaining their independence back. And that is one of the things that I absolutely love the most about being able to work in the rehab setting, because I just enjoy seeing people who come in, you know, and they need you to turn them in the bed. And then suddenly they're able to turn in the bed because physical therapy's been working with them and they're learning all these new tricks to help them be able to do things more independently. And I just love, you know, when you have an elderly person or a young person, but a lot of times this happens with elderly people who come into rehab. Maybe they had a stroke or something like that. And they just come in and they're so depressed and they're so embarrassed that they need somebody to help them now. But you know, eventually they get back to the point where they're gaining more independence back and they're being able to do things that they used to be able to do, and you can just tell that like their happiness is trickling back towards them. And I just absolutely love seeing those little tiny changes. You know, it's a great thing. And I feel like, you know, with long-term care, when you're working in more of a long-term care, regular nursing home setting, and not on a rehab unit, you're used to seeing those changes, but those changes are declines usually, because most of the people who are in long-term care, they've already tried the rehab thing. They've done what physical therapy and speech therapy, occupational therapy thought that they could do, and they've gotten to a point where someone felt that physical, speech, or occupational therapy was not going to work for them anymore. So they just, you know, they transitioned them from a more short-term / rehab stay to now you need these long-term services because we've done all we can for you and you're going to need help to continue doing your activities of daily living, basically. So I like being able to see people who are in short-term rehab. They come in, they work really hard, they do everything that they're supposed to and everything that they need to, and they try so hard. And then they achieve that. They achieve their goals. They achieve, you know, what they want. They get that independence back, and you can just see the happiness and the joy. And they're so thankful for physical therapy and the therapists that are working with them, and even the CNAs that work with them also. And I just think that it's really, one, refreshing to see people, you know, because CNAs, we're used to being in the long-term care setting. You know, we're used to seeing people dying, you know, declining right in front of our eyes. You know, you see a person one week and they're up, happy, talking to you. The next week, they're non-communicative, they're in a wheelchair, they're just down and depressed and negative, and you know, it's just one of those things. So it's nice and refreshing as a CNA to be able to go from that long-term care view to seeing people thrive and, you know, improve and get better. And I think that's one of the reasons why I want to be a healthcare provider, not not a CNA, but an actual licensed healthcare provider, as in a nurse or a doctor or a physician assistant, nurse practitioner, because I want to be able to keep bringing that to people. I love it so much. And that's how I know that this is the field for me, because I love seeing people come in with these complaints and working with them over a prolonged period of time, or whatever period of time that they're with us for, and seeing them get better little by little just by doing certain things. Like at my last job, where I worked straight rehab, there was this one lady who had fallen and broken her hip, and she was so discouraged. She felt that she would never be able to walk on her own again, like without needing a wheelchair. When I first started working there, she needed a wheelchair. Like, she could transfer herself from the bed to the chair, but she could only take like maybe 2 steps without needing assistance. And by the time I left, 2 months later, 2 or 3 months later, she was walking with a walker to and from the bathroom. And, you know, she would always try to grab the wheelchair, but I would encourage her, you know, I'm like, you know, you should try to do it with the walker, and I'll have the wheelchair right behind you just in case you need it. But if you don't need it, you should try to do, you should try to walk with the walker, so then you can get home faster. Because so many people were just so negative with her and gave her the impression that she would never be able to live on her own and go back home again, that just having the encouragement from not only me, but, you know, nurses, the therapists, whether that's speech, physical, or occupational, and you know, it's just good to encourage people to be as independent as they can. And I just love seeing how happy people get when they get that independence. So that was kind of a long-winded answer as to why I like working short-term rehab. Like I said, I'm not saying that I don't like working long-term care. I do like long-term care for the fact that you're able to form a bond with people more, because you see them day in and day out, usually for years. Even with memory care, you see them for years usually, unless they come in when they're already at like late stage or end stage Alzheimer's. But you know, it's a whole big difference from memory care and long-term care to short-term rehab, because like I said, you might have them for 90 days, you might have them for 6 months, you know, whatever the case may be. And you know, you're helping them get better so that they can go home and they can be with their loved ones and they can live independently again. So yeah, it's just refreshing, and I like the change. So if you have any other questions about what I do, what I love to do, why I love doing what I do, then let me know. I have posted some negative videos about my experiences, but just like anything, even though you love it, doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't negative aspects to everything. You know, everything that you do, there's going to be a negative aspect involved with it, whether you're a teacher or you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're whatever. There's always a negative aspect to everything. But I just love being a CNA, being a patient care provider, providing the patient care, and you know, just looking forward to bigger and better things to come in the future as I continue along the path to becoming a licensed healthcare provider, whether that's nurse, nurse practitioner, doctor, physician assistant, whatever the case may be. Follow along with me on my journey and you'll find out when I get there. So anyways, that's it for today's video. I'm sorry this was so long-winded, but thank you for asking the question, because I felt like I wanted to share it anyway. And yeah, if there's any other topics, questions, topic suggestions you'd like me to talk about, leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I have a list of videos that I'm making, so I'll continue to film those for you. I have some other like CNA tips and tutorials and things like that that I want to get out there that I just haven't filmed yet for whatever reason, but they will eventually come your way, so stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again in my next video.